What's up, guys? It is the Monster Pod for the divisional round here on lineups. Matt Brown, Noops Christensen. 4 games here in this week, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Cannot wait to see how this all plays out because, man, 3 fairly tightly lined games, 1 game out there in the touchdown range. But is that a little bit too much? We'll discuss all that here on the pod. Noops, fairly decent week last week. My Jags obviously didn't get home, but we left this podcast saying, you know what, though? That other team has Josh Allen, and if Josh Allen just does Josh Allen things and I lose the game, then all I can do is say I lost to the best quarterback in the playoffs, and that's essentially what happened. Trevor Lawrence shaky at the beginning, but he got it together there towards the end. 2 really nice scoring drives to close out the game and all of that. So, you know, of the handicap I really missed out on, I'm all right with it, I guess.
No, I don't think we should feel bad at all. And it just, to me, it wasn't even Josh Allen. It was the coaching of the Jaguars. Liam Cohen in his first playoff game. You've got that running back group averaging 9 yards a carry going into half, and they basically just stopped running the ball. It was very confusing. I thought that Trevor Lawrence was put in some bad spots. Obviously making that interception late was really tough. The Jaguars defense played a great first half, struggled a little bit in the second half. But if you're Jacksonville, you have to be heartened about how the season went, how much of a chance you really had in that game. And again, from our perspective, selfishly as bettors, if I'm mad at somebody, it's Liam Cohen. It just seems to me like the Jags could have just run the ball pretty much every play in that game and come out on top. But thank God for team totals. It's always nice to cash those, even though so you don't have to worry about what the other team does.
Yeah, it was, you wonder, and you do this all the time, but if Trevor Lawrence shin didn't hit and they punch it in and go up 14-3, what does that game look like? What is that? The 14-3, but again, neither here nor there. That's a loser. We move on here to the first game on Saturday, which will be over in Denver. Denver out of their first round bye, and they will be hosting the Buffalo Bills. This is currently 1.5 in favor of Denver at home. This is a flipped favorite situation, but not really, just kind of that one going through the zero type deal. But it kind of gives you an idea, again, of where the sentiment is, at least in this one. 46.5 is the prevailing total out there. Noops, our handicap last week was we thought this Buffalo run defense, that is quite literally one of the bottom 5 units in all of the NFL, might finally be their downfall, and that the Jags would take advantage of that. Does Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos go ahead and try and take advantage of that?
That's what I would expect him to do. We've seen Sean Payton throughout his career, loves to run the ball. And, maybe it's not a lot of traditional handoffs, but they love short, quick plays, a lot of screens, a lot of stuff like that. Again, we talked about last week, Travis Etienne to have the most rushing yards, RJ Harvey to have the most rushing yards this week. I'm seeing a plus 800. That's a bet I'm going to make because, again, I think that Denver, if they weren't already planning to do this, I think after you watch that game last week, it becomes pretty clear. What you need to do is not only just to attack the Bills, but to keep Josh Allen off the field. I mean, that run game can accomplish 2 things, right? You're pushing the ball down the field, you're getting first downs, you're scoring points. But while you're doing that, you've got Josh Allen on the side of the field. And it was something my rugby coach used to say in college all the time. If we have the ball, they can't score. If Denver can keep holding that ball and run as much clock as they can, the Bills aren't going to score. And Buffalo, even if they do get the ball, it could be a really tough day for them. They're down to just 3 healthy wide receivers. Now, I'm sure they'll elevate some guys from the practice squad and stuff like that, but it's Shakir, it's Keon Coleman, and it's Brandon Cooks. That's it. Everyone else is gone at this point. It's just a really tough spot for them. Kincaid is playing. He still looks like he's beat up. Knox is a little past his prime at this point. And James Cook is great, but everybody knows James Cook is the best skill position player. You're going to have guys basically double teaming him pretty much all game if you're the Broncos. And Josh Allen looked great last week, but again, still looks a little hampered by some stuff. We saw the foot. We saw he definitely hyperextended his knee. Seemed like he got through that. Hit his hand on one of his offensive linemen's helmet, got through that. So yet again, it's kind of the same handicap as last week. We've got the best quarterback in the playoffs against one of the more complete teams in the playoffs. So I just think it's going to be a big struggle here. I really wonder Can Josh Allen once again find a way to pull a rabbit out of a hat? I don't know. Lean towards the under here. I've been staring at some Bills team total unders. I just think there's a way that Denver, kind of like a python, wraps around this game and just squeezes it till it's done.
So I'm glad you mentioned the under. I'm on under 46.5 in this game. In a lot of the reasons come down to if Sean Payton is sharp, then Sean Payton should know how to attack this Buffalo team and understand that you probably don't want to be putting the game in the hands of Bo Nix anyway, right?
No.
I mean, it seems like, hey, listen, yeah, he can't not throw. You obviously have to throw in a game, right? I mean, you definitely have to do that. But I mean, this is one of those things where I'm looking at him to 1,000% give both the running backs at least double-digit carries, and maybe a third running back a handful of carries as well, right? I mean, like we could be looking at 3 different guys kind of going out of here. I expect that we get a decent amount of 12 from Buffalo, trying to run the 2 tight ends out there because they don't have any wide receivers. I just don't see explosives here. Khalil Shakir's not going to get 12 catches in this game, I promise you. Like, it's not going to happen again for Buffalo. And so I think we see just kind of, I'm not going to say a gross game. It's a Josh Allen game.
Right.
Josh Allen is going to make plays, whatever. I think we might see a gross game on Sunday, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I do think that this could be more of a slog than we are accustomed to seeing from a Buffalo game, given the circumstances that we're in right now with this Buffalo team on the offensive side of the ball. And so for me, I think Denver tries to control the clock, tries to do the smart thing. Don't let Josh Allen beat you. You can do that by putting together some decent little methodical drives and stuff like that. And with that, we get a game that probably ends in this, 2017 seems, 2017 seems about right. 21-17, 21-20, whatever, any of those game scenarios is an under. And I think that is a decent deal. By the way, it is Denver in January. However, we're looking at like high 40s and like high 40s and no snow, very little wind, all of the things like that. So Noops, we don't even have to worry about a weather game being here either.
Yeah, and again with the under 2, you look at the matchup from Denver's perspective. Like you said, Shakir has 12 catches last week. Pat Surtain is almost certainly going to shadow him all game. If you're Denver, you lock him up. Everybody else kind of takes care of themselves. So again, I think priority number 1 will be we'll take Surtain, have him shadow Shakir the whole game. It looks like maybe Dre Greenlaw will be back. We'll see here, but Denver's got the linebackers to slow down Cook, and I agree. It's also kind of a thing. You watch a lot of these Bills games, and especially last week, it's not that Buffalo isn't trying to score every drive. There just doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency until they're kind of behind here. And I think the way Denver plays this game, there's probably going to be a bunch of field goals here. Denver is not afraid to kick. They know they can win games 10-7, 13-7, stuff like that. And again, if you like Denver, I think you have to like the under. That's the other way I'm kind of thinking about this. If it's Denver in the under. If it's Buffalo, it probably is a game that ends up being a little bit over. So a lot of that makes sense to me. 46.5. I had this closer to 45.5. So a little bit of an edge. We'll see how it goes, but I think I'll probably be doing some stuff. Denver and under, kind of something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I sit there and I think that there's one last like angle here too is, I don't want to say that there's going to be no passing on the Denver side of things, but I have seriously considered some unders on the passing side specifically. So like Courtland Sutton's listed like 4.5 receptions. Like him getting to 5 receptions again, if they go about this game like I think they should, is Courtland Sutton needed to get 5 receptions in this game? Like, and to Bo Nix's credit, he spreads the ball around fairly well. Like Bo Nix isn't a guy that kind of like locks in on a receiver and does all that. He really does kind of take what the defense gives him and stuff. So that's the one that I think maybe more of if I want to play a same game parlay in this one, right? And I just want to tell the story. I want to tell the story of Denver winning, Denver controlling the run game, Denver not passing all of that much, and we kind of get a lower scoring game. I can get a 4-legger right there with like the under on Courtland Sutton because I don't think that there is a feature receiver really in this game for Denver. I don't think it's going to be necessary.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm just clicking around trying some stuff. I mean, the Bo Nix passing yards total is already really low at
Yeah.
210, but I think you're right. You look at this, and from a game script perspective, there are a lot of things you can put together. And again, if you're a parlay player, that's how you need to be thinking. What is the game script? How can I figure out what this game's going to do and how it's going to feel, so I can put all these pieces together? I would say from a Sutton perspective, though, I'd probably rather go with his yards under than his receptions under. A team in Denver that loves a lot of these short passes. Maybe you just do get Cortland Sutton where he does have 5-6 receptions, but they're all 3-4 yard kind of hitches and hooks and outs and stuff like that. So, but would lean towards maybe the receiving yards under there. But I like the way you're thinking. And again, I think this game lines up really well where if you want to build a Denver parlay, it's Denver, it's unders. If you want to build a Buffalo parlay, it's Buffalo, it's overs and things like that.
Let's head out to Seattle. Seattle coming off of their first round bye, and they are going to be hosting the 49ers as 7-point favorites, 44.5 to 45. The total out there in this one, Noops. We know this is a pretty beat up San Francisco team. They are going to, everyone's kind of hoping, if you were on the 49er side, to get Fred Warner back. Not going to happen this week for them. But then the weird injury report comes out, and Sam Darnold shows up on it. Yes, after a bye week, a oblique injury. However, he says he's, quote, ready to go. But it's a quarterback with an oblique injury, so I'm not jumping up and down about that if I like the Seattle side here. What say you about all of this? It seems like San Francisco's kind of almost like Buffalo. It seems like they've been kind of dancing through the raindrops here, and I do wonder if it comes to an end heading over there against the league's best defense.
I like the comparison you make between San Francisco and Buffalo in that I really feel, as much as the Bills won that game, it felt to me more like the Jaguars lost it. As much as the 49ers won that game, it felt to me like the Eagles lost it. The Eagles defense was playing solid that game. The offense is just a mess. We saw Patullo get fired. A.J. Brown is tweeting out cryptic stuff and just being generally a weirdo. As I look at this 49ers team, we just watched them. And again, I know it's a couple weeks ago. It's a different spot. The 49ers got thrashed by the Seahawks. And I know Seattle didn't score enough points where that's, you're looking at a couple touchdown win there, but the 49ers couldn't move the ball on offense, let alone actually score some points. So I wonder if it's going to feel a lot like that, where, again, the 49ers offense was okay last week against a pretty good Philadelphia defense. The Seahawks defense is markedly better, and they've had more time to prepare and get ready for all this stuff. They already know that George Kittle's not going to play this game. Now, I do like Jake Tonjes. I will be playing some Jake Tonjes props, honestly. Should be a good matchup for him. But we saw Trent Williams play last week, did not play well. For someone who's one of the best left tackles in the history of the game, gave up 7-8 pressures pretty comfortably, and it's only going to be more difficult against the Seattle team. And like you said, as someone that has been looking at ways maybe to play Seattle in this, I think there is a chance maybe things get a little out of hand for a 49ers team that is just maybe not quite healthy enough to get through this game. A quarterback with an oblique injury is brutal. And even if he's healthy, it's one of those things. He makes one hard throw. He makes one twist. All of a sudden, that thing flares up, and you just see him kind of holding back for the rest of the game. So it just makes it so much harder to bet this game. I was looking at a 49ers team total under. It's 18.5. It was close to sort of pulling the trigger there, but it's a little juicy towards the under. And I can see a game script here where in garbage time, San Francisco maybe gets a couple points on the board. But it seems to me, again, from an NFC perspective, we'll talk about the other game, we're headed towards Rams Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. I just don't have a lot of great angles here. Again, I think it's maybe a 49ers team total under, something like that. But it's just too hard to know how the end of this game is going to go.
Yeah, it's the deal for me in this basically comes down to that I would be, if this injury report hadn't come out with the whole Darnold thing, I would probably just be like, hey, listen, bet the Seahawks, feel great about it and move on. Now, if we're going to get Drew Lock or Jalen Milroe at some point in this game, then it's a whole different can of worms. And I don't want to, because I don't know the severity of this, and so whatever, but I do want to bring back up something that happened during the season for everybody out there to let you know how this could go if this is a little bit more than they're letting on. You know who else had a core injury? Baker Mayfield. And do you remember how horrible he played for a 4-game stretch? Like whenever he was trying to play through this core injury that he had. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's what's going on with Darnold and I'm not whatever, but we know the downside. The downside is Baker Mayfield from like week 6 to 10. Like it was horrific. He looked like a shell of himself. Like it didn't even look like it was Baker Mayfield out there. And so it just has me scared, Noops. I mean, I like this Seattle team. I think they're the better team. I think I could sit here and list a million different reasons. It's almost the same handicap as last week, but a better version in Seattle. You can't run on this Seattle team, and they don't allow you to run on them while still being able to sit in nickel and dime. Like they play the majority nickel and dime, which means you can't really throw on them either. But they still stop the run. And this is a San Francisco team that, again, last week, we said it. Hey, they can't run. What happened? They couldn't run. It was like literally barring a couple of late little 10 and 9-yard runs for McCaffrey. He was averaging like 1.9 yards a carry in that game. I mean, they cannot run the ball. And here comes another defense that doesn't allow you to run. And again, all the advantages here point towards Seattle. It's just the most important position in all of sports got a late week injury addition after a bye week, which just makes me a little worried. And so I just can't give it the full-throated endorsement here because there's no way. If this was bad, they wouldn't tell us. And if this was super, super minor, they wouldn't. It's so I just can't get there.
It is really strange because, like you said, if it was a tougher injury, there would have been a lot more reporting on it. If it was something that was just a tweak and a little sore, I don't think we'd hear about it at all. One of the angles I'm thinking of, I'm looking right now, Sam Darnold's longest pass, I'm seeing it 35.5 yards. I'm almost certainly playing under on that. You can throw deep on this 49ers team, but if he's injured and this ends up being kind of a ball control game, which it easily could, I just don't think he even tries to throw the ball down the field that far. And I was looking at some of the wide receivers. JSN, his longest reception's only 28.5. Rashid Shaheed's 14.5. So I think I'm just going to end up playing some Darnold under 35.5 yards here for his longest pass attempt. I want to go back and look at the last game, maybe dig on that a little bit more, but I think that's an interesting angle. Another guy I am considering for most rush yards of the week. I just mentioned RJ Harvey. I'm almost certainly going to play that. What do you think about Kenneth Walker, 8-1 for most rushing yards this week? Now, I know they have Charbonnet. They like giving him the ball, but this does feel like a game where, again, if Darnold's not 100%, let's just hand the ball off to these guys. And it's not like the 49ers run defense has been good.
You're right. It's not. They're not good. And we've seen the home run ball from Ken Walker, before. Anybody that plays fantasy knows you get the occasional home run ball from him. And if these games go as planned, where I think Denver's defense really tries to lock in on not allowing Cook to beat them, San Francisco can't run as it is anyway. Denver's got 3 different backs that they're going to use. Like there's a lot here that could point towards Ken Walker, like being it. If he's not the dude, he's probably going to get you close.
Yeah. So I like that. I'll almost certainly be adding that. And again, I just think it's another game where you're kind of attacking it from a player prop perspective. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good game for the tight ends. Jake Tonjes steps into that Kittle role. He should get targets like crazy. I'm seeing him as low as 3-1 to score a touchdown here. Maybe some better numbers there. I like that quite a bit. And I'm also expecting a big A.J. Barner game. The 49ers have been bad against tight ends. He's plus 170 to score a touchdown. So again, just another spot where there's just more props I like. Again, the full game markets look pretty solid to me. Again, maybe an under, maybe a 49ers team total under, but all those numbers have been kind of shaded into a spot that I think makes sense.
We got home the Purdy rushing yards last week. I'm not as excited about it this week, mainly because, like I said, Seattle plays so much zone that dudes are looking at the quarterback like the whole time. And while he's good at it, and he showed last week, he is good at it. He's a very good scrambler. Like he guy sees a lane and he can pop off a big one. They're just going to be looking at him a whole bunch in this game. And so I don't think I can get there again. I think we wrote it 3 weeks in a row here on the pod. I think this is finally when I jump off the bandwagon here.
It's always good to jump off a little too early than a little too late, folks, before the bull kicks you.
Love it. Let's head to Sunday. Early game. Houston Texans on the road to the New England Patriots. This is 3 everywhere except for the score, where it is 3.5, but you can get plus money on the 3.5. 40.5 is the prevailing total, though there is a 41 out there at Fanatics. Noops, tell me why this isn't just, why is this not the same game as last week for New England? Like, isn't Houston the Chargers are Houston? Like it's like the Texans are the Chargers are the Texans are the Chargers, with one with a better quarterback, obviously the Chargers, but one with a little bit better defense, but two shoddy offensive lines, two teams without real playmakers, because now without Nico Collins out there, and there's nobody on the Chargers that Justin Herbert can consistently go to make plays. Like, two teams without real playmakers. You're getting some conservative head coaches. Like, I don't know. It seems like this is the same game as last week to me. Like, this was the game I alluded to earlier. I expect this to be a gross, maybe even boring Patriots win. Convince me otherwise.
I wish, just for the sake of having an interesting show, I could disagree with you, but I'm having the exact same thoughts, Matt. I look at this Texans team. They are really lucky to have gotten out of that game. And I think a lot of people look at the score and is like, well, the Texans won comfortably. That game was 7-6 deep into the third quarter. And CJ Stroud, I mean, 3 of the worst turnovers I've ever seen. That interception was awful. Both of those fumbles were terrible, especially once you add the context around it of your whole job as the Texans quarterback is to not lose the game. That's all you have to do. Get out of the defense's way. If you think you're going to get sacked, 2 hands on the ball, fall down. I don't know what he's trying to do out there. And this Patriots team, we saw the impact of Milton Williams on that defense. The Patriots defense was great for about the first half of the year. They lose Milton Williams, a guy who, if everyone doesn't remember, was one of the keys to how good Philadelphia was last year. Jalen Carter and all those defensive players in the Eagles get to be good because Milton Williams is soaking up 2, sometimes 3 blockers per play and still finding ways to get through. I think if you're Houston, you've built your whole offense around running the ball. It's not going to happen this week. I just don't see Woody Marks or any of those guys breaking through in a big way. And if Collins is out, which seems like he should be, again, concussion, only 5 days rest, I would be blown away if he's actually playing in this game.
Especially when we hear like this, like how that went down, where they're literally saying he couldn't even get into the blue tent for like a minute because he was all slumped over on the sidelines. So like, it didn't seem like got his bell rung type situation. It seems like, oh, this is a bad concussion.
No, it's, and I never want to say there's bad and good concussions. He got knocked the F out, basically. Like, that is just a really tough spot. So I've already played the Patriots -3. I just think, again, this is a spot where it feels like that Chargers game last week where the Patriots don't blow out Houston, but this game really is never in question. For the full 60 minutes, the Patriots have the lead. They are just basically strangling the Texans little bit by little bit by little bit. And I mean, if Stroud turns the ball over 3 times again, the Patriots are bringing one of those in for a score or setting themselves up for a touchdown here. It's just, you look at Houston and once again, you're going back outdoors in cold weather against a team that's going to be much better than what you had to face last week. I love the Patriots here. I think this is one of my favorite bets of the weekend.
Yeah, I was just happened to be in front of the computer. I have a 2.5 115 in the account, which flash showed its ugly little face there at Caesars for a little bit. And so I pounced on it. I loved it. I would have played the 3 anyway. So getting the 2.5 115 felt like a gift in this thing. Again, I think this is like a mirror situation to me of last week. Yes, the Houston defense is a little better than the Chargers defense, but Justin Herbert is markedly better than CJ Stroud. They're lacking playmakers at the wide receiver position. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Like we saw no success at all from the Chargers last week running the ball. We're not going to get that same performance from Woody Marks this week because of the New England defense. Like, I think this just matches up almost the same. And I really like the way that they've been scheming up Drake May. People look at that game last week and they're like, well, Drake May was a little shaky. I think it was by design. I think it was like, hey, we're not going to take too many chances here. We're better than this team. We're not going to go crazy with all of this. And I think that it's probably going to be a vanilla kind of boring game plan here too. and not allow Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson to run free because you're dropping back too many times and all of that. I just don't think that's going to happen either. If we look up and this one is 13-3, Noops, I'm going to say that's about right. 13-6, it's about right. I just think that's kind of what we're in for. Christian Gonzalez is going to be back in this game, by the way. So a huge addition to that defense for New England as well.
Yeah, and I'll even add on, I think that Drake May could have a good game here. A lot of people talking about this Texans defense, and they're fantastic. Will Anderson, if Myles Garrett hadn't broken the sack record, Will Anderson's probably your defensive player of the year. But this is going to be a much different task for them. There are two things that the Texans thrive on. One, creating pressure. Two, keeping teams from being able to throw the ball down the field. Drake May is not a statue. Drake May is not Aaron Rodgers. Drake May is one of the better quarterbacks in the league at moving around, avoiding sacks, and throwing the ball down the field. It looks like Booty's going to play in this game. He's a good deep threat. Kyle Williams gets down the field here. And I kind of agree that things might be a little bit vanilla, especially once the Patriots get a lead. But at first, I think we're going to see May take shots down the field here. And again, you can score on this Texans defense. They really try to bring a lot of pressure, force you to make everything short. But if you've got a player like Drake May, who again can avoid pressure, get around and make some of those deep throws, that ball is going to get over the top of the Texans defense. It just seems like a much, much better matchup for New England on both sides of the ball. Now, again, Houston, that defense is incredible. If they can force a couple turnovers, maybe score a touchdown themselves, things get a little weird. But it's just so hard for me to see a way in which Houston gets a lead early and finds a way to close this game down. It just feels more like New England's going to be able to move the ball, get some points on the board, and then just basically let the Texans offense collapse in on itself.
The books aren't going to let us get away with the whole mobile quarterback against a good defensive line thing here. 35.5 rush yards for Drake May.
Yeah.
They're not letting us get away with that one. I was like, ooh, anything like 25 and under, I'm going to be in on. No, it's a full 10 yards above that. Good on the books. Good on you guys. Hey, sometimes you win, some whatever. Like
market.
They're not going to let us steal the money here with this one. 35 and that's about right. I mean, That's good on them. Good on them. Well done, books. I was ready to pounce. As you started talking through, I'm like, oh, Drake May might have to scramble 4 or 5 times. No, they're all over that. Good on them.
Yeah.
Well done.
No, honestly, at that number, I would probably look to bet it under at 35.5. But again, Drake May to score a touchdown. I'm seeing that at plus 300. That is definitely going to be a bet that I add at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, our final game of the week, the Rams on the road at the Chicago Bears. This is 3.5-4 in favor of the Rams on the road. 48.5 is our total here in this one. Now, weather could be a thing here, not like necessarily, oh, we're freaking out about the weather, but one thing we do know, it is going to be bitterly cold. Like we are talking 15 degrees, and then you add in like, once you get even a little bit of wind at 15 degrees, it just starts to make it feel like ridiculous. So I guess there's going to be 10 to 15-ish mile an hour winds, which is going to make it feel like single digits. It's going to like These dudes are going to, it's going to be ridiculous. So maybe some gusts. Again, it's Chicago. We got to wait and see. That we're recording this on Friday. This doesn't happen until Sunday night. So you should definitely look at the weather and see if this changes your handicap at all with all this. But just know, while we don't normally handicap cold, there's a difference between cold and like bitterly cold. The ball becomes a rock. It doesn't travel as far, so you're not going to get longer field goal attempts. The punts are shorter and all of that. Whatever. So just little things like that that do kind of happen once you get into teens where it feels like single digits and stuff out there with all of that. So Noops, here we go. And as far as handicapping that from a weather standpoint for the core, it's Matthew Stafford. He played in Green Bay several. I mean, like, I'm not worried about Matthew Stafford in the cold.
No, I'm not either. And again, someone who's a veteran, yes, he played indoors for pretty much most of his career on the teams he's been on, but has played outside, knows kind of the adjustments he has to make. And I'm not sure it matters against a Bears defense that stinks. They're just not good.
Yes.
They really are not. I mean, the Packers last week, you have to be just staring at yourselves, trying to figure out how you lost that game. I mean, with the ability to score 30-some points, it felt like you should have had even more there. it's just a spot where, maybe the Bears can find magic again. Once again, you get into the fourth quarter and the Bears turn into some sort of unbelievable football team and steal this game. But I'm just going to keep making a bet I've been making for weeks. The Rams team total over 26 and a half, 27 and a half. It's all good. I think the Rams once again score 30 points in this game. And maybe the Bears can kind of do what the Panthers did last week. Throw the ball, find a way to keep things kind of interesting here and keep this game close. So I'm not going to be laying points with the Rams, but as I said when we talked about the Seattle game, it does feel like we're headed right back towards Seattle. Rams here for the NFC title. Again, the Bears have been great. I know the two of us have been not really excited about Chicago, maybe haven't given them enough of their flowers this year. That was a great win last week. They've been a really good team all season. I'm excited to see what Ben Johnson can do with this team next year with another full off season of kind of tweaking here. But I think one of the most under talked about stories here is the Bears starting left tackle is gone. He went out towards the end of that game last week. He is not playing for the rest of the postseason. And that is a hugely important piece for a guy in Caleb Williams who, good at sack avoidance, but a lot of times when he avoids those sacks, it leads to bad throws. He just, when he gets out on the roll there, you've seen him kind of make mistakes time and time again. And if the Rams can get in front of him and we start to see him with kind of some happy feet, things could get kind of ugly there. So lean towards the Rams in terms of the spread. But again, I'm just happy to take this team total over as long as they keep giving me a shot at it under 29.5. So Rams team total over. If you're looking at over 26.5 and it's a little juicy, see if you can find 27.5 at a better price. It's effectively the same bet.
I was looking to see if we could make the same bet as we did last week, but we might be able to. You're just going to keep checking back. So currently right now, Mevis extra points is listed at 2.5 instead of 3.5, except it's just heavily juiced towards the over. So if this flips to 3.5, we're going to get plus money again, right? So it's like minus 165 right now on over 2.5. Eventually this will flip to 3.5 and we're going to get a big plus money bet again that we got home again last week with Mevis. So I think that's something I'll run back again. I'm with you. I think they score a ton. Honestly, the Bears have been getting a lot of money. This has kind of been one-way traffic on the Bears. Like everyone taking points. I just don't know how often the Houdini and the heroics can just continue to happen here. I mean, I just don't think that this is something you can just replicate week after week after week after week. And when it got under 4, I laid it. I know it seems like I just like all of these road favorite, but I mean, this is just the better team. I still have the Rams as the best team in the NFL. I still look at them as the best team in the NFL, the most complete team in the NFL. If it comes down to it, who do I trust more, Matthew Stafford or Caleb Williams? It's infinitely Matthew Stafford over Caleb Williams, like infinitely, like by margin over Caleb Williams in all of this. And Ben Johnson has done an awesome job with this team. And hell, the Bears might be a team we are taking a serious look at next year because year 2 of this and getting whatever, who knows, and what they do in the offseason with additions and all of that. But I think it's a little bit too much too soon here for this team. And like I said, the defense just can't really stop anything. I think Stafford and company really, really, really light up the scoreboard in this thing, so long as we don't get horrific conditions with weather. And so that's the only reason that while I did lay the 3.5, it was less than I would normally play on a game because I need to see what this looks like kind of more come Saturday night, come Sunday when it comes to a weather situation. And then maybe it will alter how I go about it. But I think that we're looking at the time where some of these teams that have had the pixie dust, it just wears off. You end up just going up against a better team, a more complete team. And hey, you had a fine season. Everything's great. Good on you. But now you're going home.
The bill always comes due, folks. Again, to make the case for Chicago, if you're going to win this game, it's got to be throwing the ball deep, which is not something Caleb Williams has really had success doing. Now, the Bears wide receivers are healthy. Odunze is a guy who can get down the field. Luther Burden does well in kind of the slot there. But if you're going to score on the Rams, it's got to be by throwing the ball deep. And a lot of that is set up in the run game. And without their left tackle against a Rams defense that has been really good against the run, I'm just really concerned that the Bears are not going to be able to establish Monungai or Swift. And now you've got a Rams defense that knows we can leave 7 guys in the box. We don't need 8 guys in the box. We can just kind of step back, cover these wide receivers. and just challenge Caleb Williams to stand in the pocket and make throws, which is something
That's the
he's
thing.
struggled to do.
Don't get him off script. He's best when he's off script. Like, leave him in there. Just go cover and leave him in there. Because, like, the dude is weirdly better when he's out of the pocket rolling and whatever and all the stuff. Like, don't let him do that. Don't let his brain get out of the play, because it's almost like when he has to think about the play too much, that's when he's at his worst. And it's like when he has to like just kind of freak out and whatever, it's like, oh, I'm not thinking anymore. And you see this like howitzer of an arm just like laser beam a 35-yard throw as he's rolling and whatever. It's like, no, don't let him do that. Don't let him do, like you said, make him make the play. And I don't know if he can do that on a consistent basis.
Exactly. Keep him in the pocket, force him to go through his progressions, and force him to try to make the quick throws that, again, he struggled to all year. And I know it's been a great season. The Bears have put up a lot of points, but this is probably the best defense they've faced in a little while. Going back and looking here, the Lions, the 49ers, the Packers. Now, Cleveland's got a decent defense, but that was in Chicago. They've kind of struggled there. The Packers, again, not a great defense. The Eagles is probably the last good defense they've played. Now, they scored 24 points in that game, but kind of an oddity. The most rushing yards Eagles, I think, have allowed in a game all season there. So they come up against this Rams defense, which is not as great as it was early in the year. Quentin Lake is still sort of getting back into shape here. But if you're going to score on this Rams defense, it's got to be over the top. It's got to be in the passing game. And I just really struggle seeing how Caleb's going to do that without being able to establish the run game.
Guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button here on the channel. Everything absolutely free. Of course, we'll be with you all the way through the Super Bowl here on the channel. Let us know in the comment section how you are playing the games this week. What's your favorite bets? What do you hate? What do you love? All the things like that. And hopefully have us another winning week here in the divisional round. For Noops, I am Matt. Good luck on all your bets.